for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Brilliant. Thank you very much, members and officers. Right, we will start the agenda proper. Welcome to any members of the public who are listening online. Do we have any apologies for absence?
No apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Item number 2, announcements from the chairman and or head of the paid service. Mr. Andrews, I believe you have some announcements.
Thank you, Chair. Just a short announcement to outline the council's arrangements for the Monday bank holiday. In order to give officers the best possible opportunity to observe the funeral and pay their respects, we'll be closing all services. Waste collections will be reorganised, but all emergency duty lines will remain open for the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 3, any declarations of interest? Thank you. Item number 4, to confirm the minutes and decisions made at the meeting of the Cabinet held on the 16th of August 2022. They are on your agenda pages 5 to 8. Are we happy that those are an accurate record? I'm happy to propose those. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Harvey. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Item number 5, items raised by scrutiny, to receive items raised by members of scrutiny which have been submitted to the leader and chief executive. As you are aware, due to the very sad news on Thursday, that meeting was adjourned, and so there are no reports from scrutiny. Which then leads me on to item number 6, which is the Future Rutland partnership, which I'm going to present, and I will be very happy to take questions or comments afterwards. I think in a funny way, it's very poignant that today, in a period of national mourning, we're considering a paper which is all about legacy, moving forwards and maximising work that we have done. As you are aware, we held the most extensive engagement exercise during our Future Rutland conversation with over 2,000 participants, which I believe is unprecedented for this county. Those conversations covered all aspects of life in Rutland, and from that came Future Rutland, which full council endorsed. One of the key points with that was that this vision isn't for any one person or organisation or council to deliver. It is a vision for the county. It is therefore essential that we are all working together in partnership, whatever capacity that might be, to deliver the aspirations within Future Rutland. Those are that Rutland is, and crucially will be, a special place, one that enables sustainable lives, that Rutlanders are healthy and well, and above all, that Rutland is a county for everyone. When we were in the process of continuing the conversation with the draft vision, one of the key pieces of feedback from our residents was a question of how Future Rutland would be delivered and monitored moving forward. Clearly, one of those elements is the corporate strategy, which we have just had at full council, crucially with that 2-year delivery plan underpinning, if you like, Rutland County Council's part of the bargain. The next step is actually almost that $1 million question. How do you make future Rutland live and breathe, inform, encourage, and ultimately deliver on those visions? Well, this partnership board is a significant and crucial part of that. As you can see from the paper, it is about bringing together a range of our partners from the public, private, voluntary and community sectors to work together with a shared responsibility for the realisation of future Rutland. There are 7 key objectives outlined in the terms of reference, also in the papers. These are including collaboration to ensure key strategic plans are linked to future Rutland, development of a shared picture and understanding of the county through shared key performance data. And at this point, I would note the conversations that we've had about the levelling up bid. That Appendix A, which covered some of our key data, I don't know if you have found this, members or officers, that when I've been out in our community, there have been parts of data that have surprised people. For example, our healthy average life expectancy for a woman. For example, our social mobility being in the lowest 10% of local authorities. So actually, understanding ourselves and understanding our county, that's really important. And a part of that is by bringing together the people outlined, the groups, the organisations outlined, so that we have a shared understanding of ourselves, because actually if we don't understand ourselves, it will be very difficult to persuade external bodies to understand us. From that, of course, then the identification of opportunities to work innovatively together for the benefit of all. Also, importantly, a forum to debate, discuss the key issues and the challenges that are faced. Shared community engagement, and this is so terribly important. Future Rutland started in the community with the community. Future Rutland, the delivery of that vision, starts in the community with the community for the community. It is for us to come together to share best practice and to celebrate. We are one county. Working together effectively to deliver for all requires the conversation to continue, and this is what that board enables. Its formation is actually the starting point to enable future Rutland, the vision for the county, to become embedded in our actions for the good of this county, for our todays, but most importantly, for all of our tomorrows. The recommendations are before you. I'm not going to read those out now because I will be repeating them when we come to a vote. I'm very happy to take questions and comments. I know one area that members may wish to comment closely on is the membership, the list of members that are recommended. I have, Councillor Powell, thank you. You've noted that the faith sector should be included, and I completely agree. And there has been one query over the Leicestershire and Rutland Association for Local Councils. This is the representative body of all our parish and town councils, so it is logical that they are the named partner on that membership, as opposed to picking any one individual parish or town council. It gives me great pleasure to recommend this. I'm actually excited and enthusiastic to see future Rutland come into being. This is the start of that. I'm very happy to take questions or comments. Councillor Ox.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I also welcome this initiative. I think it's important that we have a body which member organisations will be able to feed into. It's critically important that we get an idea of what concerns that may be bubbling away behind the scenes, which we're able to feed into. I've got a couple of questions with regards to the membership. Rutland Chamber of Commerce. I didn't know that such an organisation existed. So
just looking over at Mrs. Sharp, I believe this is one of the outputs of our economic strategy, but do correct me if I'm inaccurate.
So the Lincolnshire Chamber of Commerce has been exploring the possibility of establishing a footprint within Rutland, and have canvassed the opinion of local businesses. So there is support for them to establish locally, but it is at a very formative stage.
You know, if I may come back on that, as a former chair of the Uppingham Chamber of Trade, if there's any input I can help with that, I'll be happy to do so. My second question is with regards to housing association. Should that be housing associations? Because I think there's more than one.
Yes, we've got Waterloo Housing and obviously Longhurst. I'm looking over at Mr. Morley, and I think we can quite happily add an S.
We can indeed, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I, along with yourself, really welcome this. I think it's a great progression from the Rutland vision, and shows that we are serious of taking that forward. And I think our residents will welcome just a kind of nitpick from me, just around the wording in the health section of the membership. Obviously, it just needs updating. I know we're all confused with our ICSs, ICBs, CCGs. So, but if we can just straighten that out when we publish, thank you very much.
Thank you, that is very helpful. And I'm just looking across, I'm assuming that we can tweak.
Yeah, the terms of reference was written before the ICB became an entity. So yeah, we will get it amended and updated before published.
Brilliant. Yes, Councillor Oxley.
One more question, just with regards to the chair, the role of the chair. Who will be chairing the partnership?
That will be leader of Rutland County Council, or the leader of Rutland County Council, I should say. Thank you. Are there any more questions or comments? No, in which case I will read out the decision recommendations. It is recommended that Cabinet notes the purpose of the future Rutland Partnership as outlined in Appendix A, and secondly, endorses the introduction of the future Rutland Partnership. I am very happy to propose for that, and I look for a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Oxley. May I have all those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Now moving on to the events policy, item 7, I will hand over to Councillor Oxley, and I won't read out the recommendations just yet. I will save that till the end.
Thank you, Chair. Yes. When I joined Cabinet, I asked the Director what would be very helpful in order to facilitate the work of the places. And it was suggested that an events policy would certainly help. They are standard practice across most local authorities, but in Rutland we didn't have one. So when it came to organisations who wanted to put on events in Rutland, it was a little bit of an ad hoc affair. There was road closures and the like. Hopefully this document will bring in all of the necessary guidance when organisations want to put on an event. It is subject to finalising following feedback from the Safety Advisory Group. And one of the recommendations is to delegate authority to the Director of Places in consultation with myself. And we also need to finalise the fees and charges, and that will come out in April when we have, well, before April, but when we talk about the budget, fees and charges, the events charges will be factored into there. So they're not actually part of this report, but they will come at a later date. So as I say, we have to wait until April to do that. So, and I hope everybody's read it. I have had several questions from members of Cabinet before this meeting, and I'm happy to take any questions that may come through from them.
Thank you very much, Councillor Oxley. I'm looking for questions, comments, observations. Councillor Wilby.
Thank you, Chair. I think this is a good move, and I think it should be used as help and guidance for people when they're setting up these things, because there are all sorts of poo traps out there to come and catch you. The only thing that I thought was that for some of the bigger events, we ought to consider including the air ambulance in that, and asking organisers to identify a helicopter landing site.
Yeah, if I may come back. Yes, I mean, that's something which I would take on board when I discuss it with the Safety Advisory Group. And certainly with large events, I would hope that that would be factored in. And as I say, when they hopefully when they come back with their recommendations, that will be part of it. But I would, as I say, I don't have knowledge of how very large events are organised, but it may very well be that they have already factored that in.
Yeah, I believe that's multi-agency partnership meetings if it hits a tipping point of numbers. Councillor Powell and then Councillor Harvey.
Thank you. I fully welcome this events policy, in particular the interaction with my portfolio, highways, particularly seeking clarification on that. I just wanted to ask if we maybe could have a little bit more clarification in the document, not changing anything, but clarification about the small events in ones of under 500 people attending. We all know in Rutland there's a huge number of volunteers who organise so many community events. And I think that maybe we just need to make it absolutely clear to them when they need to request a notification, or when they can use the very useful sort of checklist down the bottom to go through aspects of their event, and when they actually need to notify the council, and when they don't for those events where there's under 500 people at very one time. So perhaps a little bit of further clarification would be useful, so that the public and these volunteers are actually totally clear what is it they're requested to do. Thank you.
Yeah, again, I take on board those comments. It does state that no notification is required unless meeting one or more of the above conditions with an audience capacity of up to 500. And that is VIP attendance, military attendance, an impact on the highway, or an impact on the community. So I would suggest that such events may very well ask the question anyway, but I will certainly clarify it when it comes to the later consultations with the Safety Advisory Group.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Chair. Mine's just around signage. I know on page 32 at 12.2, we do have the link to our signage and street furniture. And again, in the checklist and in the form, we do make reference. However, I do know it is a common challenge by organisers who spend good money producing signs only for them to be removed, and it does cause some issues with the interaction. So may I request that that maybe the wording is strengthened to ensure that people do read and do read the guidance there, because it does involve, it's quite detailed on the size and the positioning of signs and what is allowed within the county. So if I could ask that word is maybe strengthened, because so that people read the guidance before maybe and understand the importance of reading guidance before ordering said signs, would be ideal.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to take that on board in consultation with the portfolio holder for highways. I know there is there are, in the past, there have been issues with people putting notices on verges, which have been a distraction. So that maybe this is an opportunity to tighten up those rules. I don't know if that is what Councillor Harvey was referring to, an element of what she was referring to.
Just to clarify, I do know that some organisations have spent good money on banners that are too large, are too large for the criteria, and those banners are then removed, and that causes conflict both within the organisations and with ourselves. And it would just be helpful. Some organisations rightly get very excited by planning their events. They order their big signs all very happily, and there may not be the full understanding that we have quite a small size limit. So it's just to clarify that so that people have a clear understanding.
Thank you. Yes, again, I'll take that on board.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think picking up certainly on what Councillor Powell has said, the value of community events cannot be underestimated. They are wonderful, life-enriching things and very much in the spirit of Future Rutland. Clearly, what we want to be doing as the Highways Authority, as the local county council, is very much about enabling and supporting rather than curtailing and impeding. And I think certainly the various recommendations or suggestions for tweaks, I think you can nicely cover under that item number 2. And I certainly think particularly with the banners, which we know causes a lot of understandable upset, but equal sympathy for us as a Highways Authority, that highway safety and accessibility have to be the #1 priorities for the safe usage of all. But I think that this will be really helpful. And I think before I move to the vote, my one, I guess, observation, I think the communication of the existence of this policy will be really, really important. And that might be not a formal communications plan, but I think to informally just identify key people and organisations that need to be alerted, because certainly as an event organiser myself, I do find that events plan a very useful checklist to make sure I've thought about everything and covered every eventuality. So I really welcome this report. Yes, Councillor Oxley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I think it would help to actually notify the parishes and the town councils of this event, because they tend to be the first port of call when someone is putting on an event. So we should certainly alert them to the fact that we have this new policy in place if Cabinet is minded to support it.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And on that, if Cabinet's minded to support it, I shall move smoothly to the vote. So the recommendations are that Cabinet approves the event policy attached as Appendix A, subject to any minor amendments proposed by members of the Safety Advisory Group. Number 2, delegates authority to the Director of Places in consultation with the portfolio holders for culture and economic development to finalise the events policy following from the Safety Advisory Group. Councillor Oxley, I'm assuming that you are proposing that. Yes. Thank you. And I look for a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Harvey. All those in favour? And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 8, which is the LLR carer strategy. I believe, Councillor Harvey, you are very sensibly asking for a deferment, but I will ask you to propose and explain that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. This carer strategy is a combined strategy with our colleagues in Leicestershire and Leicester City, and it follows on from the LLR Joint Carer Strategy 2018 to 2021. The collective achievements from that version include the launch of the Carers Passport, staff training on raising awareness of carers across a range of organisations and partners, and information for carers has been reviewed and updated across organisations. The success of these and other measures has been demonstrated by an increase of carers on registers across the area. However, this is a starting point, and we strive to improve the offer to our carers who are such an important part of our community. The recent consultation, although widely publicised, only received 4 responses from Rutlanders. Therefore, it becomes vital that we also listen to the voices of our neighbours. Our colleagues at Leicestershire County Council scrutinised the paper and the consultation results last Monday on the 5th of September, and there was a further meeting last Wednesday by officers in all 3 organisations. This was to discuss the combined responses and make amendments to the strategy and the action plans. I move that we defer approval of the paper until we can assess and include these recommendations into the strategy and reflect them in our action plan. The anticipated launch date for the strategy is on National Carers Day on the 25th of November. So I expect to bring the paper back before then. So I propose to defer if Cabinet is in agreement. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to second that. Obviously, what I have mentioned is being able to carry on the conversation about a very important document for our carers with that. And I know that you'll pick that up with Mr. Morley outside of Cabinet. I don't think there are really any questions, Cabinet. Are we happy to support that? It has been proposed and seconded. All those in favour, please. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I now move on to item 9. However, and I'm just looking out of the corner of my eye at the monitoring officer, I am actually going to read out the decision recommendations for item 10. I will then be moving for the reasons identified that we move into exempt session. Excellent. So item 10, the contract for the revenues and benefits system. The decision recommendations are as follows: that Cabinet approves the direct award of the annual maintenance contract at an estimated 5-year cost of £443,863 from the 1st of the 10th 2022 to the 30th of the 9th 2027, in accordance with Regulation 33 of the Public Contract Regulations 2015. Number 2, approves the direct award of the remote database administration contract at an estimated 5-year cost of £100,992 from the 1st of the 10th 2022 to the 30th of the 9th 2027, in accordance with Regulation 33 of the Public Contract Regulations 2015. Item number 3 notes the pressure of £5,000 for 22-23, which can be met from existing budgets, and £9,000 per annum thereafter, rising from inflation. 4, notes the one-off licence renewal fee of £30,000 for 22-23, which can be met from existing budgets, as this amount had previously been earmarked for Civica system upgrades. At which point I'm now going to move to item number 9, which is the exclusion of the press and public. Cabinet is recommended to determine whether the public and press be excluded from the meeting in accordance with section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972 as amended, and in accordance with the access to information provisions of Procedure Rule 239, as the following item of business is likely to involve the disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 2 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act, and also paragraph 3, information relating to the financial or business affairs of any particular person, including the authority holding that information. I therefore propose that we move into exempt session. I look for a seconder. Thank you very much, Councillor Harvey. All those in favour? At which point we are now in exempt. Have we